I want to watch this video.
It's the winter months. Seasonal depression is on the rise, and the desire for a partner to keep us company
For the sake of argument,
during these
if I
trying
dipped these in the wine, would you notice?
times is back for its yearly roundup. Now, the majority of you are probably watching this in your room alone. How do I know that? Well, you know what they say. You are what you eat. And also, YouTube statistics tells me everything I need to know. Everything. But it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being lonely. That's why you have me. That's why I'm here, to keep you company. It's a little too close. Could you? Yeah, that's better. Loneliness can be good, empowering. Learning to enjoy your own company and be comfortable with your own presence is extremely important. However, more times than not, and especially during this time of year, the loneliness can be tough to deal with. And this intro isn't just me projecting here, all right? This is a fact. This is a statistic.
Clueless.
All right,
not
Jesus,
projecting.
get off my ass. But it could always be worse, and I understand that's cliche, but I'm serious. Have you ever felt so lonely, so isolated that you project all of life's problems on women? No? Well, good. You're not an incel.
Hog crazy.
Hold on, sorry. There is one more thing I need to address before the intro plays. Now, previously on the Saji Sharma channel, a rash decision was made. You see, Incel of the Year Avanish Kanala, or the GOAT Avanish, had been arrested for criminal stalking and false imprisonment. Now, I have made videos on Avanish in the past. However, they were not under the pretense of criminal Avanish. They were under the pretense of Incel Avanish, who has outlandish takes about women and hates his own skin color. Now, for lack of better judgment and because I wanted to get a video out quickly, I did not properly assess the weight of the topic at hand. The seriousness of the crimes that were committed and the victims that were pained were undermined in my video by my use of slapstick humor that I had become accustomed to when discussing Avanish. That is entirely on me, and I apologize to any victims that had felt hurt by this video. It was very much not my intention, and I will do better moving forward when dissecting heavier topics. I'm going to be unlisting that video and leaving the link in the description for those of you that do want to watch it, and also I don't want to delete it to make it seem like I'm running away from my problems. However, the gist of the situation...
That was pretty good. I've never watched anything from this YouTuber before. I got hella respect, though. This is like, I feel like it's so rare that I see YouTubers make a video where they talk about their previous videos and like make sure to clarify stuff. That's cool. That's very cool. It's happened at least once on stream where I feel like I did a very poor job covering something. I mean, not to say that I always do a good job covering stuff, but rather it's happened before that I've covered certain topics and I don't feel like I took the topic seriously enough. And I will like tweet out like, hey, I just feel like my coverage was not good. I'm just going to remove the VOD. And these are my current opinions. Okay, great. So that's cool. It's cool to see other people do it.
Will be discussed in this video, so you don't need to watch both. That being said, I felt like I had to redeem myself a little bit. And on top of that, there was just a lot more that I wanted to say. If you don't know or are new, I first talked about Avanish 2 years ago when he was just some internet weirdo spewing bullshit. And that's what he was, this kid who was my age, giving insane, weird takes with his shirt off sometimes. Obsessing over white women and fetishizing Latina women, constantly putting down his own race and further obsessing with his own image. Now, I could have never predicted or even comprehended the extremes he would go in real life. Seeing this real life example of what happens when someone, specifically a person of color, falls this far into inceldom is scary. To see someone go through this descent via their social media presence was really interesting, and it very much put things into perspective. This is someone whose brain had been warped by porn, someone who's been so accustomed to European beauty standards that they internalize hate for their own race, someone whose ego is then inflated by numbers on a screen, giving them the confidence to attempt to get away with horrendous actions. Avanish went from someone who was projecting their own
Western beauty standards becoming the norm for people that are not European or white has been one of the worst things for mankind. Because once you find out and you understand that beauty is literally bullshit, like every single beauty standard that you think you believe in, it's bullshit. The only beauty standards that have been consistent across time has been basic symmetry and um how would I explain it? DNA. Oh, oh God. Signifiers of youth? Not quite, but sure, that too, actually. I was gonna say basically not having any visible diseases, I guess, because you're kind of hardwired to avoid things that look like they can make you sick. It's the same reason that most people don't like being around corpses. Sadly, for some bizarre reason, not all people, but most people. Your brain is just kind of hardwired to avoid things that might make you sick. So back during the early days of what is it, chicken pox? Or was it no. Smallpox. There we go. Smallpox. The very early days of smallpox, where people were getting their face ravaged, and you just had these permanent scars of all the smallpox lesions and all the scabbing. If you lived, it was very painful. But if you even somehow managed to live, your shit was completely fucked up. But again, your brain is hardwired to keep you healthy. And so when you see something that looks like it's infectious, you're going to avoid it and you're not going to like looking at that thing. Right? Anyways, besides that, basically visibly looking like you don't have any contagious diseases and also basic symmetry. Those are the only two things that have remained consistent in terms of beauty standards. Everything else with beauty standards has changed so much over the course of history, and within different cultures that exist even today are so different. Tess, thank you for the 13 months. There's actually, it's really sad. There's this eating disorder epidemic in is it here? Oh, disorder. Trying to find it. There's like an eating disorder epidemic. I think last time I checked, it was like among Pacific Islanders. And it's really sad. I know also Fiji is another example of this. I don't know if this one talks about it. In 1982, Harvard Medical School psychiatrist Ann Becker was still an undergraduate at Radcliffe, traveled to Fiji for a summer of anthropology work. What struck her about this South Pacific island nation and has in many research trips since was the absolute preoccupation with food and eating. She said family and social life really revolve around food. It's all about food all the time. In a March 11 lecture in the Radcliffe Gymnasium, Becker described the rhetoric of encouragement older women use to draw passerbys into lavish meals. Afterwards, she said eaters unbutton, unzip, and lie there where they are. That's a good meal in Fiji. Amen. The centrality of food, in part, is a cultural artifact of traditional economy based on the shifting fortunes of subsistence agriculture. Who knew who knew when the next run of fish would come or how good the crops would be. So prosperity has traditionally been associated with food and hefty figures. In women, especially Fijians, appreciate large, robust bodies. But that ideal body type is now on collision course with the Western ideal that equates beauty with thinness. This clash of culture has actually affected the adolescent girls the most deeply and has endangered mental health implications. Since that first trip to Fiji, Becker has earned a raft of Harvard degrees, an AB in 1983, an MD in 1990, and a, what is SC again? Master of Science. Okay. And a Master of Science in Epidemiology in 1995. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Becker oversaw a 1995 to 1998 study that measured the effect of television on cultural norms. Television was only catching on in Fiji in 1995, a decade before even electricity was rare. The results are startling. In 1995, without television, girls in Fiji appeared to be free of the eating disorders common in the West. But by 1998, just a few years of sexy soap operas and seductive commercials, 11% of adolescent girls reported that they had at least once purged to lose weight. By the glow of television, young girls in Fiji got the idea that they could resculpt their lives. They also began to think of themselves as poor and fat. Television brought with it a social storm of many dimensions, she said. For one, it dislocated traditional clans. Becker showed a picture of the chief's family in their living room. To one side was a television, and the other side was a treadmill. And then they did this again in 2007. Becker started a school-based study with 520 girls filling out questionnaires and 300 consenting to interviews. Becker found that disordered eating habits were alive and well in Fiji, with 45% of girls reporting that they had purged in the last month. Yeah. Yeah. The TLDR here, to be clear, is that this was not a beauty standard that existed. Being thin was not a beauty standard that existed in Fiji until they got television, until they got inundated with Western beauty standards. Literally was a non-existent problem. And just, yeah, we love food. And of course, when you eat a lot of food, you're going to gain weight. But food is amazing and it gives you culture and belonging. And then you guys develop television or like get television and you see everyone's way thinner than you because everyone is starving themselves to be thin. And you look around and you realize you're not that thin. And suddenly a problem that didn't exist now exists. But a lot of people will suggest that beauty standards, like, you don't understand, like, men want wide hips because it shows us that they're birthing, like they're good birthing hips, and we like this and this, and because it shows that no. It's all fake. I know it's fucked up, but it's fake. The beauty standard shit is fake. The only things, from my understanding, that have stayed consistent is we like symmetry and we like people that do not look like they are actively contagious. That's it. It's fucked up because it feels so real, you know? The beauty standards that you hold, the things that you find to be attractive, they feel so real to you. And it makes you think that those things can't be changeable. King of Rome. Kaya's super sweet. No, Kaya's a sweetheart. As someone who likes dogs but is not necessarily a dog person, Kaya's just, I love Kaya. I love Kaya. Sweetheart. One of them contagious with swag, though. Oh. I remember when I was a kid, they would call girls that had big asses or lips ghetto. Dude, I remember that shit. I remember being so mad because I knew women who were, or girls rather. I knew girls in my class who went through puberty and got boobs, and everybody loved that. And all I got was this massive ass, which nobody liked. And I was like, why has God cursed me? But now it's great. Now it's great, dude. Now it's great. So we're living well. Ass just wasn't in back then. That it's just true. They didn't know that ass would be the future. I remember thin girls that were in my class, or thin girls that I was friends with in like college. I remember them being very frustrated with like the beauty standards changing. And they're like, I don't mind that other people have confidence now. I just don't understand why we have to put down thin women. It's like, okay, man. No one is putting down thin women, I promise. I promise. I promise. Anywho, let's get back to the video. 3 minutes in, Jesus Christ.
Insecurities by making controversial TikToks to now harassing people in real life. So today I want to break some of this down. I want to discuss how the dynamics of race, involuntary celibacy, and social media coincide. So let's talk about it. This is Indian Incels Online.
I still want a small ass. It's ingrained in my DNA, but I got a fat ass. It's annoying. Yeah. And that's the most fucked up thing about beauty standards, by the way. It feels so real in your brain. For anyone who's saying, oh, what do you mean people didn't like fat asses? Excuse me. Do you guys not remember like modern television, or I guess not modern anymore, but television at the time that had the running gag of a wife asking her husband if the dress made her ass look fat? I'm trying to see if I can find like a clip on YouTube from literally any sitcom that existed in the 2000s. What about this? Is this accurate? It's from 7 years ago?
And even tonight, as the Trump campaign clearly wants to move beyond this, Newt Gingrich is out there bringing it up again, saying you can't gain a bunch of weight when you become Miss Universe.
Just like stop talking about women's weight altogether.
Right.
Stop.
You know what? If you want to increase your numbers with women, just stop telling us how fat we are. Because as it turns out, doesn't make us feel very good.
That might help.
Especially when you have been classified as overweight. And we don't want to hear it. In fact, even if you're perfectly fit, and especially if you're perfectly fit, we don't want to hear it. Because you know
what is this wokeism on Fox News? 7 years ago.
Do not want to hear it anymore, Bigly.
Yeah, that's all. Okay, period, end of report. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Does this dress make my butt look big? What? You can't see my butt. Well,
what the fuck is this edit? What is this clip? Yeah, this looks like YouTube back in the day. Yeah, this is YouTube. Yeah. Oh God, yes. Dude, Scrubs is so good. I need to go back and like finish it.
How things going with Kylie?
They're okay. Is there some special way to get a black girl to like you?
Dude, the only difference between a black girl and a white girl is that when a black girl asks you if her ass looks big, you say hell yeah.
All right.
Okay. You wanna play some ball?
Hell yes.
This I think tells you everything you need to know. If you didn't grow up with any television in your early 2000s, that's all you need to know. People asking, does this look? One sec. Let me pull this up. Oh my God. Who? You guys ever go to Ask Reddit and you see the answers are all terrible? Like, who wrote these answers? None of these are good. Jesus Christ. So, anywho. This stuff is like buried. That Danny's video, Baldur's Gate 3 video is good. We've watched it. It's so good. It's so good. All right, back to the video. Sorry. I just had to clarify. I had to make sure we were all on the same page.
Before we begin this wretched journey, I am indeed a straight male, and because of that, I can't properly provide the insight needed to adequately assess this video on my lonesome. So today I wanted to bring on some friends to help give some more insightful perspectives on the topic at hand.
Hi, I am Yusra. I go I go as Brown Fireball on YouTube. I am of Pakistani descent.
Her intro was cut out, but it's a good thing I have great memory. This is Rose Ramden. She's Indo-Trinidadian and Hungarian, and is a YouTuber much like myself. So my first question is, do you have any thoughts on incels in terms of their worldview, their beliefs, and how those beliefs may affect both men and or women?
You know, when I think about incels, like, it's sort of like mixed feelings, to be honest, because on the first hand, like, you know, these people are kind of like societal rejects, if you will. First and foremost, you know, how does an incel sort of even think of himself, right? Like, he doesn't have a very high self-esteem, right? Mm-hmm. So for first and foremost, like when it comes to like physical appearance and things like that, he'll be like, okay, well, you know, I don't have that bone structure, you know, that the Chads have out there, or like those attractive men out there, you know, they have. And so it's sort of like, okay, well, you're dealing with a lot of self-esteem issues, right? And then they're going out into the dating market, and it's like very difficult for them to find a date, you know, an attractive person for them, or, you know, like a partner, you know, forget attractive, but just like a partner for them, right? Or someone that's
also, I think the other problem is we're blinded by our own experiences. It's very easy to think other people have it better when you aren't living their lives. It's very easy to think, wow, being a woman and dating is so easy when you've never had to date as a woman. The struggles are just different. Like, as a woman, you can get a lot of people to show up for coffee or dinner, but there's so many dog shit things about it. There's so many terrible things that happen on dates to women. It just sucks. It sucks so bad. And that's like ignoring the whole safety thing. That's just making sure. We're just going to ignore the fact that you have to send a pin to someone and share your location with people. Just in case. It's honestly so crazy how inceldom has been popping off lately. I just feel like everyone's talking about it nowadays. I felt like it was popping off in middle school, but it went into the shadows. What do you think is about it that's making a comeback along with 4chan lingo? I mean, I think it's only going to get worse and keep making like comebacks bigger and better, because I don't think it ever left. But I think it'll only keep getting worse and worse and worse the less third places we have and the less walkable our cities are. Because when you lose that sense of community and the ability to meet people, not on a shitty ass dating app, Like what? Going on a date with someone as a woman and having your date get mad at you because you didn't want to have sex with them is one of the worst experiences on the planet. It's so awful. It's so awful to like go on a date with someone and then they get mad at you and they're like, I just don't understand. I paid for dinner. It's like, you paid for your half of dinner. I took out my card. We went halfsies. I don't know what you're talking about. I just don't understand like why women have to be like this. It's like, what the fuck, dude? I took some of my free time to go out into the world to have a good night and you're just mad because you didn't get what you wanted? Huh? Okay. And I feel like you end up with a lot more people that are people that you don't want to deal with that won't stop bothering you. You can, I know what you're thinking. It's like, no, you would do, oh, that's, you just think that because you're getting attention. I don't know how to tell you this. Someone that you are not interested in at all, blowing up your phone is not fun, regardless of gender. All right? It's never fun. It's not. It fills you with a sense of dread. I'm trying to find this like clip. There was a clip on TikTok, not TikTok, I guess Twitter for me, that was popping off. And it was this dude with like a female stalker. Like his ex, I think it's like his ex-girlfriend is like stalking him. And like won't stop texting him, won't stop calling him, won't stop showing up where he is. And it's not fun to experience that, regardless of your gender. I know it's like, I know that a lot of, this just goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where it's a lot easier to feel like your experience is more difficult or worse when you never get a chance to see the other side of what it's like. Because the other side sucks. It really sucks. I wish I could find this. I think I'm close. Pausers. Also shit like this. Every single woman I know has dealt with like one instance like this.
I was having sex with a bouncer named Pickles. The only reason I had sex with him was because he said he had a piercing on it and I wanted to see it.
Pickles, if you're out there, let us know how you're doing. Let us know how the piercing's doing.
He told me feminism was bad. And then the next time he called me was for, did we have unprotected sex because I have something? He collected lizards. Not even like in tanks. They were like in Tupperware with holes in them. And he had 3 things in his room. He had all the lizards. He had a giant massage table. He had his bed, the same size as the massage table.
And how old was this man at the time?
I was in my early 20s, so he had to have been in his 30s. And then the next morning, I was like, oh, he probably has roommates because this is such a small room in a big house. I'm going to tiptoe my way out. And I don't see his roommates. I see his mother, and I see Christmas decorations, and it's April.
Oh, okay.
It just became a disaster upon a disaster upon a disaster. All because I wanted to see that piercing. I was having sex with a bouncer named Pickle.
The craziest part and like the weird, the worst, some of the worst parts of female dating is the number of people that think that it's okay to tell you that you deserve to be treated like shit. Like, let me see if I can find it. There are so many dudes that you can go on a date with, and if they get mad or annoyed or upset at you, they'll be like, you know, in my opinion, like the worst thing that happened was letting women vote. It's like, that's a funny joke. Ha 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 ha. Right? And then you find out they're not joking. It's like, Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. The kind of shitty men have you been meeting out in the wild? That sounds insane. I don't know how to tell you this. Every single woman who's ever been on a date with more than 5 people has dealt with this. There's a lot of fucking weirdos out there. I wish it wasn't true. I wish it wasn't true. Oh, gosh. This is also the other one that's really annoying. I've noticed that this is the case more generally with men than it is with women. And this seems to be the case across the board. If you talk to bi men or you talk to bi women or straight women, anyone who has to deal with men but has an understanding of like the female experience or they date women. Men being very aggressive because they think that they are supposed to be, otherwise they won't get what they want. And then just kind of being self-centered assholes like this. This is a common one. I mean, this is literally why the concept stealthing exists. If we decide to have sex, would you mind getting tested? I don't like condoms. I actually have a very strict condom rule because I can't be on hormonal birth control and I get tested every 3 months or every 3 partners. I was tested in late August, came back clean, haven't had any partners since. I understand. So would you like to plan a time to meet? I'm a little concerned that you're going to coerce me into no condoms. I'd be willing to meet for a drink and see if we have chemistry and go from there if you're up for it, especially since we live so close. Have you ever heard of using a heating pad on the testicles as a form of male birth control? Anyways, do you have anything going on this afternoon? I can meet you at the Riskies by 48th and Layton. Anyways, it takes about 90 days for sperm to mature. The testicles can make about 1,000 sperm every second. You could just hold the hot pad on them and keep them about a 110 degrees for an hour. That should do the trick. Temporarily sterilize me. I appreciate the thought, but that's not a comfort to me, thank you. Also, they sell castration bands at the Tractor Supply, just saying. Or, I mean, we could microwave them. I'm really hoping to have at least one child someday. It's so hard to find a woman who's willing to look past my disability, though. I think it would be extremely erotic to play with those bands, though, just for like 20 minutes at a time. Okay, but you're trying to do that by giving women false science facts because that's shady as fuck? Disability doesn't bother me. At least I can't say it would or wouldn't because I'm not really willing to meet you. You seem like you're trying to trap a womb. I promise I'm not trying to trap a womb. I'm a C4 quadriplegic? God. Please. Quadriplegic. Excuse me. How could I trap anyone's wombs if my hands don't even work? Trying to do what by giving false scientific facts? Heating up the balls thing. I even looked it up. It's bullshit. And trap is in like a baby trap. Sick someone with a kid and you have, if you're capable of working swimmers if you have working swimmers, you're capable of doing that. I would never want to have a child with anyone that doesn't want a child. Please believe me. I will use condoms. It's not that big of a deal. The fact that this conversation even had to happen says otherwise. I'm not interested. I wish you well. This shit is like the weirdest thing on the planet. Men will be like, it's not fair. No one will have sex with me. And then they go on dating apps and they're like, but I really don't want to use a condom. Like, can we do it? I just really don't. I can put like a warm towel on my balls. Maybe that'll fix, maybe that'll work. I just don't want to do that. And you're like, I'm good, actually. And they're like, okay, wait, I can use one. Choosing beggars? Yeah. Yeah. It's just fucking stupid. It's just dumb. Just insane. Let me see if I can find one other thing that I saw recently. And it was so absurd. Where is it? The world worked like that since Bible times, and it's worked for almost 3,000 years. The moment humanity fucked up is women's suffrage. That was the beginning of bad times. There's a reason you carry the child, not me. It's your intended purpose as a woman. Just like the reason I have big muscles and I'm larger, so I can work and build. The reason you have tits and a uterus is so you can carry and feed a child. Your body tells you what your job is. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. I'm breaking up with you now. Have a good life. Hi, thank you for the recommendation at the booth earlier. Take care. Sure. I was wondering, are you free next Wednesday by any chance? I'd have to check. What is this regarding? I wanted to take you out. There's a cafe near, so if you're interested, I thought we could hang. As in a date, if so, forgive me. I'm engaged to another bookworm. Would love to catch up as friends or other bookish events. Kay, why are you talking to other men while you're engaged? Sending out wrong signals. Such a waste of time. Excuse me? You were in charge of the booth and I was
birth control is praxis. Women shouldn't have to take birth control to warm up my balls because I can't sit on a heating pad for 10 minutes.
You were in charge of the booth and I was merely being cordial and inquiring about a book club. I don't think any hint of romantic interest was initiated from my side. I'm sorry you perceived it that way. See, I apologize for what I said. I seldom meet women I connect with. Most women I know, or in general, are backbiting, selfish deviants. You seem different and innocent. You were genuine. And you're so young to be married, only 24. I can help you explore life and guide you through ... This message continues. I'm not interested. Please do not text me unless it's book club related. I trust you will find peace and love. Take care. I wish your marriage crumbles within the year. Your husband will cheat and you will come crawling back to me. Mark my words. I have to show you guys this one scene. One sec. This I think will explain it the best. This is the best way to explain it. Excuse me. Oh man. Do you guys know that scene in Fairly Odd Parents where it's like the time travel scene, the Back to the Future one, basically, where they're trying to tell scary stories, and the scary story is, in the future, there'll be 1,000 channels on cable television and nothing to watch. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? That is what it's like dating on these websites and on these apps as a woman. You'll get 1,000 dates and they're all gonna be insane people. It's yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of insane people, guys. There's a lot. There's a lot. Or people like this. Down to go for dinner on Thursday? Then maybe come over if everything goes well. My boy would be very happy to see you. I can't on Thursday. I have a client in a volleyball game. I'm only free Friday night or Sunday. Who's your boy? Friday works better for me. My boy equals eggplant emoji, crying laughing emoji. Oh, LOL, I thought maybe you had a dog. Haha, I have a dog too. So will you meet my boys? Would you be down? I bought a new memory foam mattress, crying laughing emoji. I mean, I don't really plan to go home with a guy on the first date. First date is typically for vibe. It's just typically to get a vibe for things, no pressure. Otherwise, I feel like there's a lot of pressure. That's fine then. We can go for dinner and then have a cute blowjob if everything goes well. If that's okay. Blowjob like a thank you note. Wow. Can you imagine if you as a man went on Tinder? And I'm going to do my best to create the female equivalent of this dude. Can you imagine if you went on Tinder and you said, yeah, it's giving where's my hug energy? Can you imagine as a dude, you go on Tinder and you match with a bad bitch. And she's like, hey, do you want to like go get some dinner? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe if everything goes well, you know, you can come hang out. And you're like, yeah, dinner sounds great. You want to get like pizza? You want to do Italian? What do you want to do? And she says, oh, honestly, like I was thinking Italian. We go on Friday if that's good for you. And then afterwards, if you want, you can come and build my new mattress frame. And you're like, oh, well, the first date for me is kind of more like a just kind of getting the vibes, not really building other people's furniture. Oh, okay, well, would you want to come fix my car as like a little, it's like a cute little car fix? You know, like a thank you for going on a date with you. It's like, what? No, I don't want to like do things for you after going on a date with you. Huh? What? What? Yeah, I need my oil fixed. How about a cute oil change? I think if the date goes well, just come by, do a quick oil change, and you can go home. No? No, I don't want to do that, actually. I don't want to do that. Surprisingly, I know, crazy, right? How about just like a cute $10,000, huh? A quick cheeky remove a stump in my yard that I don't want to do myself. Cute oil and transmission fluid change. Okay, that's all. That's all. That's all I was trying to say. But I think when you are...
But I bought a new memory foam mattress.
Think of the amounts. I think when you're a woman and you're experiencing dating fucking blows because it's a bunch of people like this. There's a lot of people like this. So anyways. Okay. Do they eventually normalize and find partners, or like what's going on there? You know, I've never bothered to find out. I'm gonna be honest. Anything could happen. And the few people that I know that are like very, I've known one or two people that are kind of weirdos. It's nice to have a couple weirdos by your side, you know, make you feel more normal and everything. And they just stay single for a very long time. Because when people do tell them, hey, this behavior is what is pushing people away, they just don't want to accept it. They will just refuse to accept it. And they're like, I just don't think I did anything wrong. It's like, okay, man, if you don't want to take my advice, I don't know what to tell you. Oh, if you think this is weird, wait till you hear how passport bros talk. Oh my God, dude. Did you guys see this? Where is it? It was this Passport Bros post that I saw that was insane. Here it is. It's a bunch of Passport Bros that are upset that there aren't enough women in South Korea that are immediately fawning over them. Currently, I'm staying in South Korea. What I've noticed over the past few years here in Seoul is that the expat foreign men are becoming less and less sought after. Now, even in Seoul's famous entertainment and party spots, it's rare to see Western men with any women. At least it wasn't like this when I came to Korea 4 years ago. What do you think is causing this change? At my workplace, there are Korean and Chinese men from the UK and NA. They feel the same way I do. Not only are the local girls not interested in them, but they are openly expressing their annoyance when approached in English by foreigners who don't speak Korean very well. What I feel these days is, to exaggerate a bit, that if you don't look like a Milan model, the girls won't be kind and accept you. I dated a Korean woman in Paris for months in 2015. It was a good memory. The women from Korea were always friendly and smiled when I spoke to them. Now the women here in Seoul treat me like an alien and they're rude to me. No one cares about me. I see them treating Westerners the same way. Well, I'm staying here for work, and other foreigners I met here recommended for me to move to Japan or Thailand. Sir, this is a Wendy's. Sir. Did you, I mean, I'm sure you guys remember it. Back during the pre-2016 pickup artistry, where that was the only type of content that was being made on YouTube, I feel like. There were dudes that would go to Asian countries like Korea, China, Japan, and they were just like straight up sexually assaulting strangers. Was it this one? I think it was maybe this one. Because they were like, yeah, well, the Asian women are very submissive, so they're not even going to say or do anything about it. So you can just do whatever you want. What is this? What is this fucking music? This dating guru. I wish I could find an actual good video on this.
Through the streets, just like grabbing girls.
Here we go.
If you're a white male, you can do what you want. Romping through the streets, just like grabbing girls.
Out of context in a way where how could they be taken
Oh, they're taking out of context, guys. Those were just really horrible pictures that were taken out of context.
out of context? Give me the good use of choke a woman.
Anyways, yeah. I'm sorry. This is an insane thing to say.
At least in Tokyo, if you're a white male, you can do what you want. Romping through the streets, just like grabbing girls.
So anyways, you mean to tell me that if a bunch of passport bros are suddenly sexually assaulting lots of women in these other countries, suddenly they're not going to like these people anymore? Whoa. Wow. Guys, I have the ultimate pickup artist strategy. It's called rape. It is not a strategy. That's not a strategy. These white dudes that come to Asia and they think they can do whatever they want is real. Yeah. So no shit that like more and more women who live in these cities would be, I guess, wary of Westerners. I had a large man come and bang on my neighbor's door and demanded to speak to her, yelling at her through the door. She yelled, "Go away," and didn't. I ran out as fast as I could, started recording, basically had to bark at him to get away. I'm still shaking. Yeah, this is like, also, it's very scary how many people have dealt with like men that like show up at your door and just don't want to leave. Very scary. So listen, I am empathetic to the male struggle of not being able to get dates. But I think incels need to be empathetic with what it's like to go on dates. Okay? Because some of these people are fucking crazy. Oh, gosh. There was a bad time on waving hi. No, you're good. Hi, Beast.
That's attractive to them, you know?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what ends up happening, you know? And on top of everything else, you know, they're also younger guys, a lot of them, and then this progresses, you know, as they age, right? But when they're young, when you know, when they're in high school, for example, right? There's bullying and, you know, a feeling of like isolation and things like that, like you know, like I said, like rejects of society in a way, right? And people don't take them seriously. People aren't nice to them, you know? So
yeah, I think that incels are predominantly defined by a sort of misanthropic, antisocial, misogynistic worldview that is, I think, foundationally untrue. And I think that a lot of struggles with achieving intimacy are driven primarily by social factors, people having trouble assimilating socially or interacting with people just in everyday scenarios. You know, you're going to have trouble connecting with women if you have trouble connecting with anybody, generally. And because of that, I think the incel circle or the incel community is a very dangerous sort of pipeline, because it takes sort of this disaffected, antisocial, frustrated, dejected attitude, and it channels it into this black-pilled hopelessness that encourages people to take a more reactionary, more extremist, more radical approach to their vitriol for women. It encourages them to view women as enemies who are working against them. It encourages them to dehumanize and to harass and to threaten these people.
for a lot of, you know, the initial feelings that I have towards incels, it's sort of like I have a lot of empathy, you know, because it's not easy. It's not easy out there, right? Like like I said, if you're not attractive, if people aren't treating you very nicely, if you're not being able to fit into society, whether it's friends or overall or with a partner or anything like that, like it's difficult, right? So it's empathy.
Yeah, totally.
But the empathy sort of ends where the hateful, you know, sort of mentality sort of begins, especially when it comes to women, right? Because, you know, you can't blame your lack of success with maybe getting a date or, you know, maybe in general, like, you know, maybe the world is against you in a sort of way, but you cannot, you know, channel that into degrading women, into telling women that, you know, you are the reason that my life is so horrible, you know?
And of course, to some extent, I hold empathy for these people who are caught in these pipelines, who are basically at the very, very lowest of social standings, feel that they have nowhere to go.
I'm sorry. I love insane people. What does this mean? Dua Lipa wannabe. What does this mean? It's just, I don't...
And the only people who take them in are these reactionary freaks. But at the end of the day, I can't excuse anybody who is acting with such vitriol and misogyny.
So yeah, I think I have like mixed feelings, and I think it's empathy up until where I see an incel just misbehaving and like having a lot of hatred and, you know, rude feelings towards women. I think that's where it sort of switches for me, and then it's a lot less empathy when it comes to that.
Incel, or involuntarily celibate, is a term used to often describe people who are irredeemably and irrevocably lonely. So much so that they tend to weaponize their loneliness and blame the opposite sex for the reason as to why their world is crumbling. Inceldom is treated as an answer for men that don't have anywhere else to go. It's a direct result of our modern day society and patriarchal systems, making it harder for men to find a safe space. Yes, the patriarchy hurts men too. So because of this, certain men have found comfort within incel groups. When you hold in your feelings constantly, you're never coming to terms with your own emotions, which is why instead of rationalizing and thinking logically about why they can't get laid, the incel mindset becomes increasingly easy to latch onto. It becomes this false sense of safety, this parasite or virus that pretends to be your friend, preys on you when you're weak, just to invade the walls of your mind and change the way in which you see life. Avanish was a victim of this virus, whether he knew it or not. He made it very clear through his content that he was very lonely and would love comfort from a wider Latina female. That is a direct quote.
A wider Latina female. Zenmus, thank you for the 2 months. Thank you. Like, how do I say this? If you do your best to be normal, and you do your best to not blame women for all of your problems, you will come off as normal. Women will see that you're normal, and they will be interested in hanging out with you more. Also, stop feeling entitled to things. No one owes you anything. No one owes you a date. No one owes you sex. No one owes you anything, okay? And once you accept that, you'll become so much more normal. It's so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy.
It was obvious he was struggling with self-esteem. I mean, very obvious. He was an open book. On top of that, he was constantly getting harassed by audiences and other creators. So to an extent, it's normal to feel pity.
Except Tyler, that motherfucker owes me $200. Oh, yeah.
To feel empathy for weary travelers that have lost their way, majority of them being children or young adults. But when you take the road less traveled because it helps you direct your resentment towards marginalized communities, that's where I have an issue. You punching down in a system that gives you the advantage is hard to look past. Now today we're going to be going down that road just so we can educate some people and maybe help someone from falling in the pipeline. I'm like your tour guide, and today we happen to be touring the Manosphere. Please make sure to stay with the group because if you get lost, well, fuck, I'm sorry. The world in which inceldom resides is called the Manosphere. Now I know a lot of you know what the Manosphere is because you're chronically online, but for those of you that have a life, the Manosphere is as stupid as it sounds. It's a small little world where men who believe they are victims live. They all come together, arm in arm, and sing fun little songs about society being gynocentric and how women have it easy. Maybe if you weren't also homophobic, you could just suck each other's dicks and call it a day. But I digress. Incels, of course, are the main characters of the Manosphere. I mean, they have to be. It's a part of their victim mentality. Now, if you look to your left, we have the red pill, which, you know, is ripped right from the Matrix because they can't be original. But in the context of the Manosphere, the red pill is recognizing, among others, that feminism is harmful to men. That men are the victims of a gynocentric world. Now, you might be saying, Saji, you keep saying this word gynocentric. What does it mean? What? That the world revolves around a giant ew. Gross. No. But it is probably what incels think feminists want, which is why they're so hell-bent on hating them. A gynocentric society is one which is dominated by or emphasizing feminine interests or a feminine point of view. Kind of like Ptolemy, you know, when he thought the Earth was the center of the universe? Except more stupid and wrong. At least he was guessing. You have evidence at your disposal. Now, if you look to your right, we have the black pill. Oh, wait, that's my right. Fuck. Well, now if you look to your right, we have the black pill. The black pill is a belief made by incels that have no hope, that there is no way out of being an incel. While both red-pilled and black-pilled incels are unhappy with being involuntarily celibate, those that identify as red-pilled generally feel there are ways out of that status, while those that identify as black-pilled believe that their situation is permanent and inescapable. Now, they have fun names for everybody in society because it's their world and we're just living in it, literally and figuratively. As we walk further down the point of no return, you'll be able to see a dick-shaped totem pole, where at the tip you have the alpha males, whom I'm sure you're all aware of. These are the red pill, the fresh and fits, the Andrew Tates of the world. These are the guys that would have been incels, except they found a way to manipulate people into giving them money so that they could manipulate women into giving them sex. I would still consider alpha males incels, personally speaking, even though they aren't technically. They're just hiding behind their really tight button-ups and Dior Sauvage. Opposing alphas are, that's right, you guessed it, the betas, which weirdly are not the incels. You would think the opposite of an alpha would be what an incel is. But again, these incels have to be the main characters here. These betas or normies are men that can achieve sex, but won't be able to prevent their girlfriend from sleeping with a Chad. Oh, you thought this was a silly game? No. This is a well thought out science. It's foolproof. You see, that's why betas are betas, because sure, they can get a girlfriend, but that means that they could hypothetically be cheated on. Whereas I, incel, have no girlfriend, and therefore can't get cheated on, making you inferior to me. Now, what are Chads? Chads are the Mr. Steal Your Girl of the manosphere. They're the hunks, the football players, the frat guys. They are the incel's greatest enemy yet greatest desire at the same time. Just fuck already. Now, you're probably dying to know what the difference is between an alpha male and a Chad. It is a little confusing, but the differences are distinct. Let's hear from a pro-veteran incel, shall we? Chad, the dick, the body, the game, the waxed back and ass. He gets all the girls for one-nighters. Alpha, wears suits, smells good. Stubble is 6'3", earns...
This is such a weird description. Describing a Chad as the dick, the body, the game, the waxed back and ass? Why is it so homoerotic? This sounds so gay. Not in like the pejorative sense, but just in the men loving men sense. The alpha wears suits, smells good, stubble, 6'3", above average dick. Strong, silent type. And then there's us. We have no redeeming qualities whatsoever. This post has so much bottom energy.
Earns money. Has above average dick, but not as big as Chad. Maybe even average. Is older than Chad, so say Chad is 23. Alpha is 35. He has long-term relationships. Strong, silent type. Then there's us. We have no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Thank you, pro-veteran incel. Now we're moving on to the last stop of the tour, the categories for women. Incels call women as a whole femoids, short for female humanoids or female humanoid organism, to belittle women as not only lesser than men, but also lesser than human. No wonder you can't get laid, you can't even acknowledge women as human. Then to further categorize the femoids, you have the Stacys and the Beckys. The Stacys...
It's also like, if you unironically believe this shit, and you unironically believe like the femoid stuff and all this other stuff, you really think it's not gonna show? You really think when you're inside of your brain, you're such a fucking insane person that none of it's gonna slip out? No one will ever notice that shit? Brother. Brother. It's harder to hide than you think. At some point, people notice you are part of a cult. Yeah. It's kind of like, have you guys ever talked to a QAnoner? Or like a conspiracy theorist? And they'll put out one little factoid. They'll just do this. They'll do like one. It's like a teeny one. Maybe they're like, oh, I have a homeopathic doctor. They're like, okay, that could be nothing. It could be nothing. It could be something. Well, let's go down this line of questioning really quickly. Oh, really? And why is that? Why don't you go for traditional doctors? And then they hit you with it. They hit you with the millions of conspiracy theorists or theories that they have in their fucking brain. And they're like, well, most doctors are trying to prescribe you drugs that null all of your senses. See, most of the stuff that we consume, our food, our water, it's been calcifying our third eye. And I just feel like ever since I started going to this doctor and I've stopped taking all my medication and all my drugs, I just feel so much better. Besides not being able to sleep, I just feel so much better. It's like, whoa, whoa. Oh. And that's the same shit that happens on these dates. It's like these unbelievably incel men. They go on these dates and then they let one thing slip. They're like, the workforce is kind of difficult for men since they have to deal with being seduced by women. And you're like, huh? What? What do you mean, like, you don't like the fact that your coworkers are so hot and sexy you can't focus? Is that what you're talking about? Like a joke? Oh, no, I just think that, like, probably women and men shouldn't work in the same workspace. It's like, okay. Okay. Oh, thanks, Dice. Oh, gosh. I was on a date once and I said to her it was a while since my last date with a femoid, and for some reason when I went to the bathroom she'd disappear. I suspect she was kidnapped. She will not answer any of her phones. Oh gosh. Yeah. Enjoyed seeing you on the Cutie Disney thing and Osama Jenna. Aw, thanks. Collabing is so much energy and work. Anyways, I studied homeopathy for 3 years in LA. It definitely attracts some interesting folks, but the medicine is legit, but operates outside of medicine. Yeah, so that's my point. My point is, like, I'm down. I feel like there's a lot of, like, small things that someone can say that could be totally normal or could be insane. And once you, like, go down a certain dialogue tree, you will find out very quickly that they're probably insane. Because there are lots of things that I think are, not to be a hippie, okay? But if you can solve your problems without having to deal with getting prescriptions, that's fucking sick. Besides the energy and, like, the work and effort that goes into having to get a prescription in the first place, get it filled, and constantly have to pick it up. Besides that, there's also lots of side effects of prescriptions, and there's lots of prescriptions that you can't take with each other, etc. And so if you can solve a lot of your problems just by having better nutrition, or maybe by incorporating, like, meditation, and those solve your problem, fucking sick. Cool, great. The problem is, like, the people who take it so far where they're like, modern medicine is killing us. You think all those drugs you take are helping you? They're not. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't think I'm gonna tell people with BPD that their drugs aren't helping them. Uh-huh. I want to see how this is traditionally defined. Homeopathy, medical system in Germany 200 years ago. Like cures like. Notion that disease can be cured by a substance that produces similar symptoms in healthy people. Law of minimum dose. Homeopathic products come from plants, rhodanians, arnica, poison ivy, belladonna. Okay, yeah. Minerals. And animals and homeopathic products are often sugar pellets put by some tongue. This is specifically like the products. I want to see if I can find something that's, you know what, let me see the wiki page on it. Take a peek. System of alternative medicine. Okay. Where's the... Doesn't say. Yes, lack of scientific evidence. Okay. Okay, that's enough of that. Because I don't see anything else that looks useful or interesting. The TLDR is anything that seems to be suggesting that you can cure something with just like some random ass plant is probably maybe bullshit. Anything in homeopathy that's basically just focusing on improving your well-being via nutrition or via meditation or stuff like that, yeah, that stuff is probably good for you. I just don't think it's one of the things that's like, it's either or. I don't think you pick modern medicine or homeopathy. I think you just like try to take care of yourself in natural ways. And then also you can use it in conjunction with your prescription. Arnica is for burns, scars, inflammation, but like for cancer, of course not. Yeah. I just think you should be using them together, right? The idea is to prevent from getting to such a bad place. Both are needed. It's not one or the other yet. I think once you're trying to cure cancer by like putting some rocks on your body, you're gone. It's over. I think it's so ogre. You okay. Back to video.
These are the female equivalent to
Oh wait, I
chat.
want to read this as well. I'm somewhat overweight. I've been able to chat up women, even those out of my league. Not sure all of those will turn into relationships because I'm not super comfortable with all of them, but you'd be surprised how much people are okay with talking to you if you talk to them nicely and don't bother them. Yeah. It's literally just be normal. Just be normal. Just treat someone how you would want to be treated. Honestly, the biggest meme is kind of treat women the way that you would treat like a close male friend. Like, don't blow up their phone, but you can offer to hang out, you know? Me and the bad bitch I pulled by making her laugh and enjoy life. Yeah. Yeah.
Chads, but generally referred to more negatively than Chads are. Stacies are often characterized as beautiful, hyper-feminine, but dumb and promiscuous. Incels believe that Stacies will only go for Chads or alphas. Beckies are considered less attractive than Stacies but still unattainable for incels. So incels could only generalize the entirety of women into two categories: attractive and slightly less attractive, but still overall unattainable. Jesus Christ, you're just asking for it at this point. This misogynistic thinking in which incels operate is embedded into the very core of their being. And they don't hide it. Some abide by the rules of hypergamy, which is taken from animal biology and inaccurately applied to women. They believe that women will always seek relationships with men of higher status than themselves, or than the men they are currently with. Another insane generalization made by incels trying to rationalize why they're lonely. This is how dangerous the manosphere is, how dangerous of an echo chamber it can become. I don't care. Any explanation about the world around us that is easy to understand or defined by generalizations is untrue. Sociology is ever changing as we humans evolve and adapt to the world around us. We are extremely complex individuals and cannot be contained by labels or categories. But that is not what the incel world believes. The incel world is black and white. Well, black, white, and brown. Oh my god, you have to make everything about race? Yes, because I forgot to mention, or left out intentionally in order to provide for a smoother segue, that there is another category for the brown incels. They are at the very bottom of the dick-shaped totem pole. They are the rejects of the incels. The rejects of the rejects. They are the curry cells, which is both self-degrading and self-applied, similar to the regular incel name. It sounds like a slur. I mean, it kind of technically is. The white incels have chosen derogatory names for all incels of color. Of course, the only safe space for lonely people is only a safe space for white lonely people. Yet they still feel safer inside this community than anywhere else in the outside world.
I think they're totally different and totally the same in a sense. There's a huge Venn diagram, and a lot of the things are kind of different equivalences. So in the case of an Indian man or an East Asian man, let's say, either of those, they exist in really different places in terms of like desirability politics. In terms of the desirability hierarchy, Asian men are often seen as effeminate, as ineffectual, not as very masculine, and Indian men are often seen as sort of perverted, as anti-masculine, as gross, as like, and these are because of like, you know, incredibly harmful racial stereotypes. And a lot of the stereotypes that apply to Indian men also apply to Middle Eastern men, Southeast Asian men, and you know, you can see that on the internet. You can see that on the internet very well. I'm sure we remember the Bob and the Jean meme, which was great. You know, just a whole meme around the idea that older Indian men will try to prey on white girls through DMs. You know, and it's not great for Indian people on social media a lot of the time.
Wait, I missed what he said.
I see that on the internet very well. I'm sure we remember the Bob and the Jean meme.
Oh God, yes.
You know, just a whole meme around the idea that older Indian men will try to prey on white girls through DMs. You know, and it's not great for Indian people on social media a lot of the time. I know you've been called Bajit just like me. It's like, that's the only one you know?
I know.
I don't even look like that.
I'm not even the same hair at all.
Yeah, not even close. I think that sort of that aspect of it, that aspect of being very low on the desirability hierarchy, can put you in a totally different relationship to sex and intimacy. If you are an Indian man who is not, you know, Eurocentrically attractive, who has seen time and time again that people are willing to portray Indian men as perverted, as weird, as backwards, there's that, you know, very, I think, reasonable response to saying, like, dude, why the fuck does everybody hate Indian men so much?
Yeah.
Why do they feel so strongly that we are not sexually or romantically real or tenable?
And I have a whole video on this, but the prejudice towards Asians, South Asians, hell, any minority, increases these chances for these men to fall into these certain pitfalls. It makes this terrible, reclusive, insidious space look like the light at the end of the tunnel. But weirdly, Indian incels are considered the lowest of the low within the incel community. Indians are seen as particularly lacking in sex appeal. We're the lowest of the low, he explains. I've seen posts about how being an incel in India is normal, that most men are incels there, so it doesn't count. So why stay? Why be a part of this community that treats you no differently than the rest of society? Well, the incel parasite tempts with such a false aura of comfort and safety that incels of color would rather choose that cruel world over any other. Sure, they're racist, but at least they can relate to your biggest insecurity. Still, Sharma has no plans about his fellow incels. Not me. Completely different Sharma. It's not me. No matter how racist they might be, he believes that, relatively speaking, being considered a curry isn't the worst thing in the world. Especially when he considers that the incel community is the only place where my feelings about myself and relationships with women make sense. So, while Sharma says, not me, that the white incels are ignorant about the world, I know that we're feeling the same things, and that's all that matters. So the Stockholm Syndrome relationship shows that these brown incels are really, in their mind, just picking the lesser of the two evils. But what if there's more than two evils? What if there's 3 or 4 even? What are you gonna do about it? Huh? Well, racism isn't the only factor as to why it's easier to slip into the rabbit hole. We have to consider societal factors that have been embedded into South Asians from growing up in their home country. Coming from a place with such a dense patriarchal system that prioritizes men to certain extremes can be a culture shock when moving to the West.
Even if they grew up in the West, right? For example, you know, it's not like, so a lot of, you know, brown people in the, you know, West, they have parents that were either immigrants, right? Or the values are very different than, for example, a white person for a brown person, right? So there's already a lot of, how do I say this, misogyny in our cultural, you know, system. Like it's just very cultural, the way these things happen, right? So now your, for example, you know, your mom has raised you into thinking that you're superior, you know, like you're a boy, you're superior, you're versus your sister, you know, who's doing all the house chores and all the, you know, are forced to do it. You know what I mean? Like she's having to clean or, you know, even studying, right? Like, for example, like studying is so much more important for the boy. It's so much less important for the girl because a girl just has to grow up and get married. And that's basically what she's good for. But a guy has to go out and earn and do all these things, blah, blah, blah. It's like all these, you know, all this just patriarchal systems, essentially. You know, I don't know how else to even say this. And a lot of it does come from these cultural elements, right? So now you come into the real world, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, you're seeing, you know, women, you know, like you're very different than, for example, your mom. You know what I mean? Like women don't want to be stuck in these traditional gender roles anymore. We're going out and we're studying. We're, you know, having really, you know, good jobs and we're progressing and things like that. You know what I mean? So you all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's like, it's really fucked up because the running gag from, I would say, like immigrants and immigrant family members and like first and second gen is that if conservatives could just be a little less racist, they would win every single time. Just because most countries and most people who end up immigrating to the US have a lot of conservative values. I would say one of the biggest conservative values is like family and gender roles. And most that I've seen, most immigrants as a American born and raised here. My parents immigrated and I'm so lucky I only had sisters.
Hi, Dad. Smiley face.
Because I had a lot of friends who were immigrants as well, and they had brothers, and they described that the men in the household, like the kids, like the boys, didn't have to do anything ever. Never had to help with like doing dishes or cleaning or taking out the trash or learning how to cook or even caring about school, honestly, in some cases. But like the girls had to learn all of that shit. They cannot stop being racist. Dude, I'm serious. If the Republican Party could just stop being racist for 2 seconds, they would win. Yeah. Tally, thank you for the ones. Hi, son. Yeah.
Then you all of a sudden it's like a big clash for you. You know what I mean? Like it's very different for you to see yourself now as that king of the, you know, he's like my prince and, you know, he's like, Oh, like for the mom, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I might
yeah,
wanna,
yeah, I got you.
yeah. There's that cultural element, and that's very much exacerbating some of the feelings that maybe a brown incel would be feeling, because it's like a big clash versus you know, what a white you know, incel might be feeling, which is societal and dating and all this stuff. On the other hand, so when this brown incel is now going out in high school, and there's this whole element of colorism, you know, involved in this, right? Because in our culture, you know, the fairer your skin, you know, the more beautiful you're considered, you know? And so for you, maybe you're a brown guy that wants to date or, you know, wants a relationship with a white girl because you think that she is a lot more attractive, you know, just based on colorism and all these things that exist in our culture. Okay, well, she might not feel that same way about you because she maybe doesn't view. It's just a whole freaking thing on racism and how you're viewed, and there's all, you know. So I think it's harder because it's like a lot of different, like, multi variable sort of a thing going on where you have this racism, colorism, cultural, and then the manosphere ideology. Like, everything's just sort of collapsing when you're going into the real world.
Yeah. And it's hard to understand how drastic this change of life can be. So to help put India's conservatism and traditionalism into perspective for you, I want to take a look at India's men's rights movement. Now, America has a very conservative half that is tied to traditionalism. Make America Great Again is a cry to bring back tradition. In India, that traditionalism isn't very different. In fact, it's more intense. That's why if you've ever had Indian friends in school, you've noticed that they don't really hang out with you outside of school. That is due to the traditionalism of Indian parents. Yeah, no friends, no fun. Love you, Mom and Dad. I know you guys are watching this video. But the country that they come from behaves differently than the more progressive country that they currently inhabit. And because the more run-of-the-mill societal structures of their home country tends to be more conservative, that inherently means that
literally what I was talking about.
The stuff that we view as more extreme is going to be more extreme there as well. India's men's rights movement is an inspiration for pro-men organizations everywhere. In fact, they foam at the mouth. Paul Elam, a sworn anti-gynocentrist. I love how that's in quotations because what does that mean? What, that he doesn't want the world to revolve around a giant It's pretty immature of you, Paul. And champion of the Americans' men's rights movement demurred that he was a student that afternoon. You guys are light years ahead of us, he boomed. The Indian movement is setting an example for the whole world. Unlike the American MRM, men's rights activists in India are viewed as fairly legitimate. And you may be wondering, you know, what's making the India's men's rights movement so prevalent? Maybe they face actual discrimination.
No.
Yeah, like not being able to harm women. I'm not joking. What began in the early 2000s as a series of local support groups for aggrieved husbands fighting the supposed misuse of a law that protected Indian women from dowry-related crimes has grown into a network of men's rights groups with the basic anatomy of a political movement. Dowry is payment made in cash or kind to a bride's in-laws at the time of her marriage. Now, dowry has been illegal in India since 1961, but it's still pretty prevalent, and it is a part of India's tradition. And in 1983, Section 498A of the Indian Penal Code was created to protect women from harassment, abuse, and violence in cases where a bride's family did not provide a sufficient dowry. MRAs saw this as giving women too much power and lobbied to change the law. In 2014, the Indian Supreme Court took their side and removed the automatic arrest provision, purportedly to protect men against disgruntled wives. That is how normalized India's conservatism is, and that's just an example of it. There are plenty of other facets, like colorism, Hindu nationalism, workers'
Colorism is like so fucked. It's Western beauty standards, man. What sucks about this is, as a brown guy, if you try and distance yourself from the shitty parts of the culture, you end up just cutting off even more of your potential dating pool. Yeah. There was a period of time where I had just run into so many people, like so many other Arab people from my culture, and they were some of the most sexist motherfuckers on the planet. And I got so sick and tired of dealing with it that I wanted to distance myself from this as much as possible. And then I was like, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. You have to judge each person individually. But it really fucking sucks to have to deal with that. That you can try and be like, okay, I'm gonna touch on, I'm down. I don't wanna reject my culture. I don't wanna reject my people. And then you dip your toe in and you get like a bad experience. It's like, okay. Jordanian guy that works in the same room with me literally thinks that if gay people get rights, it's going to destroy society. Growing up black meant being told to come inside before you got too dark. I got told that. I got told not to stay out in the sun too much because I'm going to get too dark. I know. I know. Yeah. Colorism in like most of the world is actually really, really common. Very common. It's fucked up, but it is. It's so wild. It's like pervasive. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just turned into a blister. Most brown girls I knew, I grew up around weren't even allowed to do anything after school. Most of them had to come straight home, etc. Oh, yeah. I was not allowed to stay out past like 9 p.m. Ever. I only started being allowed to at like 23 or something like that. Oh, hi, Elon sucks. Good name. Good name. It just sucks because, like, someone was mentioning it. Everyone can be a 7. Every man can be a 7. Minimum. Minimum. But that has nothing to do with your skin tone. But some people think that it does. And it's fucking weird, man. It's fucking weird. People get fake tans all the time. I don't understand. It's just like in American culture, being a little tan is fine. Or like with white people, being tan is fine. There's nothing wrong with being tan. But in a lot of other countries, being as pale as you can is the ideal. What's colorism? Colorism is basically just believing that, how it manifests today is believing that darker skin tones are less desirable. And in countries where there is a large variety in skin tone, you get treated much more harsh if you're darker. Do I need to pull up the
Hi.
racist washing machine commercial? Here's the most extreme version of this, okay? Content warning, unbelievably racist commercial.
改变只需一颗俏皮洗衣溶珠，俏皮全国招商热线400-800-5086。
Yeah. Here's another good example, or like another good video talking about how bad colorism is in, for example, India. Now, I will be clear, or let me be clear. This is common in basically most countries outside of Europe and the US and like Canada. And I've spoken to lots of different people from lots of different countries and people who visited family back home and who grew up with the culture. And I've heard that this is big in this happens a lot in Latin America and Central America, in a lot of Hispanic regions. this happens a lot. Latino regions, this happens a lot. I've heard that it's really bad in most Asian countries. Vietnam is one of the countries I've heard it's like the worst in. I've heard that it's really bad in South Asian countries. And I've seen that. I've seen people I've known go through the colorism there. And I will say that it's the case in MENA regions as well. So like Arab areas, Arab countries and stuff. If you have any melanin and you tan, you need to stay as white as you can, as white as possible. All the time. The skin bleach industry is destroying the skin in Jamaica. Everyone is bleaching. That's fucked up. Wait, beat kind of going hard. Wait.
The costume lady just offered me extra boobs. I declined. How do I look? Good?
Give me your upper body a little bit front of the camera. Yeah.
Not bad.
But not good.
Not.
This is a modeling shoot for an Indian company that sells traditional Indian clothes to the Indian market.
Nice to meet you. Your makeup looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Where are you guys from? Ukraine, okay.
The strange thing here, there are no Indian models.
I don't know, I'm looking through the catalog. I'm wondering why don't they use Indian women?
There is a lot of amazing Indian models, you know?
Yeah.
Who working like in Paris, in New York, you know? But they not working here.
But they don't work in India.
It's about skin.
Everything's about skin.
Not even gonna lie, they race swap these women hardcore. They're learning the Ariana Grande way.
I think so.
Why aren't there Indian models?
Indian model is not fair like this much. They want the fairer look on it. Just little bit touch of Indian look.
It's an open secret in India that fair skin is seen as the beauty ideal. But for anyone who...
Open secret? I would call it more of a giant billboard that everyone in the country can see.
hoping to become a Bollywood star, it can feel more like a job requirement.
So this is audition messages. So big production, fair skin or normal skin, I think okay, but good looking.
So Kartik is showing me all of the casting calls over email, and at the first line of all of them, it's either fair or very fair. So you're like Bollywood's casting director.
Yes, but I started as an acting teacher. My company comes fourth in Bollywood, so everybody comes.
Well, I'll just kind of be standing next to you, maybe
Yes.
your sidekick?
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Well, let's get started.
Yeah, we'll start.
So what types of actors are you looking for?
Two main leads, like bride and groom.
Hey baby, where are you? I'm back. I want to propose you, but I'm not ready for wedding.
So I know he will not get selected. What the clients has tell us, कि he should be 5'10" above, fair looking, very dashing look.
Hello.
Hey baby, I'm home. I mean, I want to propose you.
This has the same energy as Americans in anime. Oh my god.
Not ready for the marriage.
And how do you think you did?
Not good.
Oh.
The look was not going, the acting was not going, nothing was going.
So if somebody's a great actor, but they have a dark complexion, will you hire them?
Yes, we hire them only if the client says कि we need a dark complexion. What the clients has tell us, we need a fair complexion.
Hey baby.
You are doing everything. Trust me. और मैं propose करने वाला. I mean, propose नहीं. I was thinking about it, but मेरे call आ रहा है. Just give me 1 minute.
इस complete script कुछ भी नहीं थी. There was no script. But perfect. But it was perfect. Girl is very beautiful. She's very good looking, and the guy is very good looking, very beautiful. He is a perfect choice.
Me when I'm bisexual.
Because again, he is a fair skin, so he comes in upmarket. I will cast this one.
Of course, we wanted to find out what it was actually like on a Bollywood set.
Who would win in a twerk-off competition butt naked, covered in oil, Hassan Piker or Ben Shapiro? Hassan would throw out his back, so I'm going to go with Ben. I think for like the 2 seconds that Hassan was able to, he would kill it, but then he would throw out his back immediately, and then Ben would kill it after that. He'd be throwing it back.
Wow. The one thing that's immediately apparent is that the 2 lead actors are pretty fair-skinned and everyone else is not. Are you love interests in this TV show?
Yes. You know the title of the show?
Papa by Chance?
Yes. Papa by Chance.
Yeah.
So what hint you got from the title?
That he was made a father by chance.
So that's all about it.
That's about the show. How did you become a papa by chance?
So I met with an accident and I killed their parents.
Well, this got dark quick.
Yeah.
With some drama and humor and love interest.
Yeah. We were hanging out with the casting director yesterday.
Me when I kill some kid's parents, and now I have to be this kid's parent. What?
He was telling us that in a lot of the casting calls, they'll ask for fair actors.
Yeah.
And so as a result, a lot of actors will start to use like Fair and Lovely and White Miracle in these products.
Oh, this is not true.
Is that typical though, where the people who get main parts are fairer skinned?
No, but you think I'm fair?
I think you're very fair.
I really think I'm brown in color. So, thank you so much.
Obviously, an actor.
Me when I'm a horrible liar. Yeah. What? No. Skin lightening products. No one ever thinks about those. Wait, do you think I'm fair? Thank you.
They'll get their makeup done to be fairer.
Sometimes, when actors are denied parts because of their skin tone, they'll turn to a booming sector of the Indian beauty industry, skin lightening. The most popular products have titles like White Perfect and Fair and Lovely, and are made by the biggest Western cosmetic companies in the world, Unilever, Procter & Gamble, L'Oreal, to name a few. Around 60% of women and a growing number of men in India say they use these creams, and the way they sell off the shelves, they hire Bollywood's biggest stars. This is India's Don Draper, Kailash.
Surprise, surprise. Basically, none of it works, and it's not good for you. They just hire pale actors and then Photoshop them to make it look like they actually got lighter using the product.
Surendranath, who created many of these ads, and Anupama Verma, the former face of Fair and Lovely.
Now, what is happening actually is in the country, psychologically, is that maybe it's a hangover of the British Raj. But generally, a fair complexion is looked up upon. But the dark complexion was not so looked upon. So especially for marriage.
What was sort of your standard storyline for these advertisements?
An arranged marriage is being fixed. The boy comes to see the girl. Maybe finds her too dark. The next time she's used Fair and Lovely, another boy comes to see the girl and marries her. Prerequisite to get married. The scripts used to be standard and very weird. Like it was always about you can't get a job unless you're fair.
Yeah.
You can't get married unless you're fair.
As a model, I was cast because I was fair, not because I was really using the product. The Indians, they feel fair and beautiful. Everyone's so beautiful. If you see the matrimonial ads, it won't say beautiful, educated girl. It'll always say wanted, fair, intelligent girl.
In fact, you know, a lot of people give this with the dowry. They give her saris, they give her, you know, whatever jewelry and stuff which she's going to take with her, and the fairness cream.
Was there a moment when you both felt like maybe I should stop endorsing this stuff?
Well, when I did
Nikki Haley would have killed it in Indian acting industry. Oh yeah.
That way I stopped. I decided not to sell stupid scripts, you know, which promise the world to you because you're fair.
Go back to your country.
Fair, they think that's beautiful.
Having to fit into a cultural definition of beauty to be a movie star is not an unfamiliar concept. Hollywood basically invented it, but skin color bias permeates all layers of society here, and it's causing some women to go to extreme lengths to become lighter.
You know, if you're applying to a job, will an employer say, I'm sorry, you're too dark?
Yes, I've been to so many receptionist job interviews now where they say I don't have the right look. They say they want someone more presentable.
Do you feel a sense of guilt for, in some ways, perpetuating that narrative?
Yeah, you feel that it's not the right thing which you're doing because she's beautiful as is it. I'm not helping her getting a job, but that is what the industry demands.
Celebrities endorsing these products, commercials broadcasted to hundreds of millions of people, contributes to an already deeply rooted prejudice that goes back generations. Kavitha Emanuel has been working to change this for years with a campaign called Dark is Beautiful.
This is a belief that is embedded deep in our minds. It is part of our culture.
Where did this all begin?
I think there are several reasons as to why we have this issue today. And people, especially here in India, people always ask me, is it because of colonialism? And then there is the caste issue, of course, we have. And the general belief is that the higher up you are in the caste system, you are lighter. It's the whole idea of the ruler was white.
Is this just sort of in certain parts of society every now and then, or is this something that people face every day?
There are things that we do at home every day that tell you that we are biased when it comes to skin color. When a baby is born, in India, the first thing, of course, people want to know if it's a girl or a boy. But then the next thing people look for is the color of the skin.
Just when the baby's born.
I had a South Asian friend who got married into this family, and the family sucked. Like, the mother-in-law was a terrible person. All the siblings, terrible people, like sisters-in-law, brother-in-law, whatever. She just got married into, like, her husband's chill, and then all of the people that are in her husband's family suck. And they had a kid, and the kid was dark, and the mother-in-law blamed the daughter for the dark kid, even though the mother and her entire family are light-skinned. It's like literally the genetics that caused the kid to be darker are from your side of the family. Hello? Huh? What do you even do in that situation to make it better? Bro, let me know when you find the answer to that. Let me know. Are you friends with my mom? I'm so sorry. It's not how genetics work. Just leave. Yeah. That happens also in black households at a crazy rate. It's just so embarrassing. Because, like, there's racism in the US, but at the very least, most of us normal people can recognize that the skin tone is not what makes someone attractive. The skin tone is not what makes someone mommy. And not in an attempt to fetishize, but I've heard many people say, like, regardless of skin tone, talk about, is it Lupita? Yes. She played a very specific role. Was it on Black Panther? Yeah, here we go. The one example, literally just one example of like a not light-skinned black woman who I think objectively we all agree unbelievably attractive. Like, you could disagree. You can be wrong. That's okay. I'm okay with you being wrong. I just don't think you can look at, I don't know. But it's sad because the number of women that I know that are darker skinned black women that have had to deal with like being treated worse sucks. It's like, what the fuck? Also, I don't know. I feel like there's something cool. There's something like sexy about, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like mesmerizing. It's like very pretty to look at. Really dark skin. I don't know if that makes sense. There's like a there's like a specific shine that exists. It's like a specific aesthetic. I don't know how to explain it very well. It's like the light that reflects on darker skin is challenging, but it's so gorgeous to see. I think that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to explain. Dark skin looks like rich in a way. Yes. Yes. Okay, thank you for understanding what I'm trying to explain. Where, you know what it is? I think it's that it makes you look so much more cunt. Because when you get to glisten, it's like you have natural highlighter on. All the rest of us, especially white people, you got to put highlighter on to get that same glisten, and you just get it naturally. Like, look, I have to this stuff. If I want to have a glisten, I have to put this on to start getting something. So that it's like, ooh, look, my skin is so dewy. Oh, look. But you just get that fucking passive naturally because your skin is just it's just better at reflecting. What? It's fucking bullshit, man. It's fucking bullshit. It's not completely passive. Oh yeah, you obviously have to maintain your skin and you have to, what is it called? Moisturize and everything, of course. But I don't know. I'm a strong believer in like everything can be very attractive, right? There's something very attractive about every different group of people. I don't know how to describe it. Like there's not one racial group or one facial feature or one body type that just objectively looks better than the other. It just doesn't. I just refuse. I don't believe you. I think you're being an idiot. That's dumb. My bisexual showing? Listen, okay? Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Like, you know what's another good example? Not to fetishize white people, but seeing white people's veins. I know white people hate that you can see their veins when they're getting translucent, but that shit kind of looks cool. That shit looks cool, no? I'm sure if it's excessive, I understand why it would make you excessive. I understand how it can make people feel uncomfortable and how people can be embarrassed of it, I guess. But I think it's cool. Are you kidding me? Someone like turning their arm around and you just see everything? Oh my god. You can say what you want. This is kind of sick. Every time I get my blood drawn, they mention how easy it is. Yeah. Yes, exactly. But even like people's faces, I know that's a big one. A lot of the white people I know that are very self-conscious about the fact that you can see some of their veins on their face, but I think it looks cool. I think it looks cool. I don't know. And in that same sort of vein, it's like, I don't know, I think that there are special cool stuff about any individual person and the groups that they belong to and where their features intersect with other people's features. And I think it's okay to enjoy all of those things. You know, like I think it's cool if you're if you're fucking translucent to the point where you can see your veins. It's cool. But also, if you're so melanated that it just looks like you're naturally glossy all the time, that's so fucking cool. Like all of it is cool. My pansexual is showing. I'm sorry. I'm just an everything enjoyer, okay? I'm just an everything enjoyer. I can't help myself. All right. All skin tones have cool traits. I mean, all features have cool traits. And pretending like that's not the case, it's just fucking stupid. And you're wrong. And you're wrong. So it makes me sad to know that like dark-skinned or darker black women have to deal with like colorism. It's like, what the fuck? That sucks. Jesus. Everything except feet. Based. Okay. Like, you know what's a good one? A good example? A good example is vitiligo. It's so sad because a lot of these people talk about how it takes them a long time to feel comfortable with their bodies and feel comfortable with how their skin pigments. Which sucks because this is so fucking cool. It sucks that we've made people feel bad about looking like this. But it's so cool. This is just like being a calico cat. This is just... This is just like a calico cat. So yeah, I don't know. It just makes me sad sometimes when it's like think about that stuff, because how can you say that you just dislike a skin tone? What are you, stupid? How can you? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Huh? Anywho, let's finish this video, shall we?
Just when the baby is born. From day one, parents start speaking negative stuff about the baby's skin color. So just imagine how the child grows up. I saw how it affected the confidence level in girls. That really kind of shocked me. I thought, wow, this is a big issue and no one's talking about it.
Campaigns like Emmanuel's have helped to spur others to join in and speak out. A youth group called Kranti is helping young girls reclaim their self-esteem.
I love my skin. It's brown, dark brown, orangish. My mom gave me this skin and I'm proud of it.
Kranti operates as a home for daughters of sex workers, and their mission is to empower their girls to combat class and skin color discrimination.
It's not about the society, it's your own family who has been starting blaming you since a very young age. My mom has always been like taunting me for saying like, you are so black that you won't ever get a guy, you are so black you won't ever get a job, do this, use this cream, use this homemade remedy just to look brighter. I'm like, why? Why can't I feel beautiful the way I am?
Switch on the television, every other product is talking about whitening your skin, and we've seen how it affects children. We are a diverse nation with diverse languages and ethnicities. I think we should look forward and see why are we still entertaining this toxic belief.
Yeah, this fucked up. But literal, yeah, colonization, colorism, white supremacy. There was just someone who asked what colorism was, and I was like, you know, this is a good opportunity to watch the video. Because you don't realize how bad it is if you don't live there. But it's bad. It's bad. Which sucks. Fucking blows. Tied in with the colorism of the caste system makes it hell for anyone that has darker skin. Colorism's fuck. I'm a cishet East Asian guy. I've used skin lightening creams no longer now. I learned it from my mom. Yeah. It's like, it's just... It's bullshit. That's like one of the few things I actually really do like about America. About the United States of America. At least there isn't, unless you're a literal Nazi, there isn't an obsession with getting as light as you can. And there's lots of people who actually want to go get tanned. At least that exists. Whereas like the idea of going out specifically to get darker, to get a tan, is like a foreign concept in so many nations. Again, there are areas that this is not the case, but the fact that it exists at all is already... Hassan's tax evasion account. I'm not even going to read that. That's insane to me. That's fucking insane to me. I'm from India. Corpo definitely didn't start this shit, but they continued it. I mean, I think they made it a lot worse. Every white girl I've ever dated has tried to darken their skin. Yeah. I had a period of time where I thought I was too dark for my ethnicity. I was convinced by cultural norms. How stupid is that? How dumb is that? But you're white. I'm Arab. And like I said, in a lot of Arab nations, colorism also exists on the same level. Because there are Arab people that are paler than me, that are whiter than I am, it's like I'm not considered light-skinned. Which is insane. Which is insane. The Phil One Roman statue Twitter realizes those statues were painted to about your skin tone. Yeah. It's stupid. It's unbelievably dumb. I'm sure you guys know about it, but the fact that marble sculptures actually were painted. And guess what? They were painted pretty tan. Grecians and Romans, by the Mediterranean, shocker, had tans. And were in fact not white. Like, I mean, you can ask, if you pull up a Greek person and tell them they're white and then tell me what happens. Tell me how it goes for you. What's with the baby? I don't know what's with the baby. Well, I don't know what that is. I don't. Like, I'm literally this guy's skin tone. Here, look. Ah. Just turn my lights on all the way. Why are you showing Mark Zuckerberg? Stop calling him Mark Zuckerberg. Stop. 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 Stop it. Don't call him that. Don't call him that. But it's crazy. It's crazy that people can think that. It's crazy that people can think that, like, you can be light-skinned and be getting called dark. As if that's even a problem. Anyways, I could talk about this forever.